To make any of these tools, the first thing you need to know how to do is light a fire, and the only way this fire gets lit is with a marmiti. So Belga marmiti kala is a fire stick from the grass tree. To light the fire, it's the flower that comes off the grass tree. Okay? Interesting fact is they start off green in spring, cambrine season. They blossom at the beginning of summer, Virat, and then they turn brown in Duran, autumn, when the bush is ready to burn. So the flowers tell us when it's time for fire. Cut a flat surface in the groove, make an indent. The rubbing down creates friction, throws out a small ember into dry ingredients, which could be banksia flower, could be she oak fronds, could be tree bark, whatever's around. It's important to familiarise yourself so you can adapt quickly and use any type of material in the bush. It's porous, it's full of oil, you can't let it get wet, you've got to keep it dry. When families are moving, they wrap it up in a kangaroo skin, and they even used to rub the kangaroo skin with emu fat. So when it rains, the water runs off. Keep it nice and waterproof. It was left in the cave along the ridge, in the traditional hollow log. Throughout Australia, traditional fire lighting is different. You head in desert country, they use a spear thrower, and they rub across to light fire. Some people will rub along flat, use flint rock, the bow, the reed. Down here we use a marmiti. One of the oldest fire lighting techniques. I'm going to pass a few things around, you're welcome to have a look, pass it on. Don't try to light a fire yet. These are my last couple of fire sticks, you end up running out of room. And then the one that I'm currently using is this one, so it's a little bit bigger. About 5-6 years of fire lighting just here. I used to just burn them when I was finished with them. I used to just chuck them in the fire. But I'll keep them and make something. So, yeah, we're going to use this one today. Once you get the fire going, it allows you to make all your tools because you need the heat. You need the heat to shape timber. You need the heat from the fire to soften all the resin, inlay all your stones and create tools. So this is Belga resin. Comes from the base of the grass tree. Crush it up into a powder. Mix it with charcoal, banksia flour, and then you mould it with your hands. You end up creating this stuff, which is one of the first fiberglass invented by Aboriginal people. Using resins, fibres and material from the bush. So you can make a stone axe, you can make skinning knives, with all your spear throwing tips, handles, or traditional knife, otherwise known as dart. Inlaid with codgerstone, quartz or shells from the beach, shark's teeth and bone. End of the knife you've got a point, and then you've got your skinning blade. That's to make an indent and skin the animal. So when you skin a kangaroo, traditionally, the same style we do today really. You make an indent, go down the middle, around the bottom, hang the kangaroo up, take the skin off, grab some coarse sand, any coarse sand will do, and that's your equivalent to sandpaper back in the day. There's a rock and sand. When you soften it up, you need to soften this kangaroo skin. 3 days in the sun, stretched, and then softened with sand and rock, and then tanned with bracken fern, red gum sap, bush onion, and then maybe emu oil. And you got the kangaroo skin last year, a long time. I've had these for over 20 years. Yeah, these are good. Now I'll pass that around to have a look. So with the kangaroo skins, in the south here it's quite cold climate. So all the clothing was created from animal skin. Everyone had a yongabuka, kangaroo skin cloak with the fur on the inside. 2 big kangaroo skins sewn together. You can make a julep, it goes around your waist. You can make bukajena, kangaroo skin shoes. You can make a kutadili, which is a kangaroo bag. And everyone had a kangaroo blanket, which is about 6 big kangaroo skins sewn together. It's a circle blanket, and that was rolled up and carried. So you carry your big blanket, and you have kangaroo skin bag as well. Yeah. Summertime fur is a bit lighter, shorter. Wintertime fur is longer and darker. Oh, yeah. I prefer winter, spring, autumn kangaroo when the grass is green. Kangaroo puts on more weight, more fat on the meat. Some animals eat dry grass, put on more weight like a goat, but kangaroo. Got a couple of boomerangs. This is my oldest boomerang, it's about 100 years old. Been made traditionally with flat stone, hand axe, shaping the boomerang. Look for the elbow of a branch, the bend in the tree, split it, burn it in the fire and then scrape it back. One side flat, other side rounded. A boomerang like this, mostly for kangaroo and emu. So you throw really low and hard, hitting the emu leg, can't run, easy to catch. So that was why the large boomerangs were created for the large animal. Smaller boomerang, good for small animals. Also good for fishing. So down on the fish traps here, if you go down Dunsborough, straight down on the sandbar there, there's two big fish traps. There's a big pool in the middle. High tide, the fish come in. Families have put broken shells in there to attract fish. As the tide goes out, fish hang around, and you've got a pool of fish about as big as this half circle. The pool, waist deep, knee deep. Fish are in there until the next tide. So you've got fish that are fresh, you can catch when you need. Or the mullet, herring and whiting moving through the water, just stun the fish, throw them up on the sand. And as the high tide comes in, make fishing spear. Spear the fish. Okay. This is carry hazel, tea tree, one-ang tree, peppermint tree. Are the best for making fishing spears around here. So the saplings from the one-ang, tea tree or carry hazel. We're lucky, we've got lots of spear trees, good spear trees. Some boomerangs are made from different timber, like jarrah, marri, carry, gully and yarri, all Aboriginal names for those trees. This is a little bit thicker. This is good for wood duck, teal duck, mountain duck. It's similar for fire, Kala, Billa River and Bora, meeting place. And if we shape and change the boomerang, it flies differently. So then the returning boomerang is invented. Mostly for small animals, birds, pigeons, quails, parrots. This end's facing up, this end down. So when you throw it straight out, and about 50 metres and comes around. So the way you shape your boomerang, each edge will determine which way it's going to fly. Flat, straight, up, circles. And the other use of boomerang, music. It's part of your song, the percussion. And through a lot of songs and stories and dancing is how a lot of information and knowledge is passed down. And even though the language changes in different areas, characteristics of the family groups, the vegetation and the climate will change, hunting techniques are very similar. So there's no bow and arrow, boomerang and spear thrower are the two main hunting tools that most family groups have. Hook on the end of your spear, run your hand down, bit of an extension of your arm, and when you go spear fishing, just hold it up like that. And you see all the fish in the water. Maybe cobbler, flathead, stingray, flounder, crab, squid, whatever. This is made from shear, little hook on the end and handle. Thanks. I've got a few shields, a couple of old ones at home, not much bigger. And some of our traditional markings burnt in and also rubbed with ochre. This is made from Pulgala, coastal banks here, so it's a light wood. The dolark stick, clubbing stick, made from mouldwood, quite heavy. And this is a nulla, it's a throwing stick for close range. Okay. Mainly for hunting.
For fighting?
Coolamon, barrel bowl, crushing bowl. Good for seed, good for resin. Also
It's
used
like
for
it.
music.
Yeah.
We've also got a little bit of ochre, or willoughby, traditional paint. Yellow, a little bit of white, and a little bit of red. You can also get paint from trees and plants. I'll show you how to light a fire. Unless you already know. This is time for fire lighting demo. Okay. So what we're going to do is crush up some banksia flour. Like I said, you don't have to use banksia flour. you can use tree bark. So to see the she oak bark, it's soft, you can crush that. Red gum bark, that works really well. There's all different types of Banksia flower. Any dry flower, dry leaves, twigs, whatever's around. I've also just broken off these fronds from the grass tree. There's two types of grass tree that we get. Below ground never forms a trunk, above ground forms a trunk. Male shoots a flower at the top, female grass tree shoots flowers out the sides. So you can collect the fronds, flowers. So this is the flower here. It's edible, also produces a lot of seed and resin. We're going to crush these up. Just here. Make a little pile. During this fire lighting demo, it will smoke a little bit, but in Aboriginal culture, smoke, especially traditional fire lighting smoke, is often used for cleansing as well. Cleansing spirit. There we go. About a handful. If you're on your own, you just kneel on it so it doesn't move around. And then weight pushing down, rubbing down. So just that quick change there. See how it's getting too deep. About 4 or 5 fires off each point. And then I've just switched over to this one.
Wow.
There we go.
Nobody
Too long.
clap their hand.
No hands.
Light him up. So that's the old fire lighting technique, and that's how families would light their fires most evenings. There's going to be a little bit of ash and smoke go that way. Welcome to move if you want to.